Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. Muslims read God's revelation to them, and they try to understand its meaning and apply in their lives. But sometimes we misunderstand and misapply the Quran. We're going to be looking at some misunderstood verses now. Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
The verse we're looking at is from chapter 5, verse 54, and it goes like this. O believers, whoever among you abandons their faith, Allah will replace them with others who love Him and are loved by Him. And it goes on, but I believe that's the most relevant part, Dr. Shabir.
Yeah.
So tell me what's so misunderstood about this verse.
Yeah. Sophia, it's not so much that the verse is misunderstood, this particular verse, but it's more like the implications of the verse are not followed. So if we take this in conjunction with other verses of the Quran prior to this one, which spoke about people apostatizing from the faith, we find that the punishments invariably are consequences in the life hereafter. But it has become commonplace in classical Islamic jurisprudence to understand that the apostate should be killed. There are some variations of this broader statement, but mainly this is how it is understood. So where does that understanding come from? It's not from the Quran. It's clearly from hadith, and those who want to support that will quickly cite hadiths that go to support that. Without discussing the details of those hadiths now, it is important for us to recognize that in this verse and in verses which we have seen in previous chapters dealing with disbelief and apostasy, it is clear that there is no mention of any punishment in this life to be given by a judicial court, let's say. Now, one might say, but okay, I mean, a lot of things are not specified in the Quran, but they're specified in the hadith. So the Quran may give you something in a broad manner, and then the hadith will give you the details. An example of that would be that, the Quran tells you to pray, but doesn't give you all the details on how to pray, and then you get those details from hadith. So, okay, that's fine, because the Quran is prompting you to do something, then you want to know how to do it, and then you look for the details and you find it in the hadith. And this is a different case in which the Quran seems to cap the issue. Like, this is it. You disbelieve. After you have believed, then face the consequences in the life hereafter. So it's like the elephant in the room. If there is a punishment to be meted out in this life, like especially such a severe one where the person is to be put to death, and that's not being mentioned at all. Like in all of the verses, one after another. So in the current verse, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu man yartadda minkum an dinihi fasawfa ya'ti Allahu biqawmin yuhibbuhum wa yuhibbuna. O you who believe, whoever reneges from his religion should know that God will soon enough bring about another people who will love him and he will love them. So that means, like, in your stead, you leave the religion, doesn't hurt God. God will bring another people who will love him and he will love them. So that seems to be the end result, right? No punishment is mentioned. Otherwise, we would expect that the punishment of death should be mentioned as a consequence. Now, if not in this verse, how about in the previous one? So this is the 5th chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah. In Surah Al-Baqarah, we have إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ. Whoever commits disbelief. So, you might say it's maybe this is just a general situation of disbelief from the inception, but it could, the verb is an active verb, kafaru, those who disbelieve. It could imply that they believed first and now they disbelieved later. Then what's the consequence for them? Alayhim lanatullahi wal malaika. On them is the curse of God and the angels and of humankind in general. And that's the 2nd chapter of the Quran. And the 3rd chapter of the Quran, we read about people who are saying to each other, "Aminu bima unzila ala alladhina amanu wajha an-nahari wakfuru akhirahu la'allahum yarji'un." Pretend to believe in what the believers are receiving in terms of revelation in the early part of the day, and then renege from it by evening, so that the others will also return along with you. So you want to pull some people out of the religion of Islam, pretend to be Muslim, you confess their faith, then they think you're one of them, and then later on when you renege from it, they will think, maybe I should do that too. So that's the ploy that was being employed here, the ruse that was being put into motion by some of the disbelievers. And the Quran is mentioning this, and obviously, for anyone to think that this is even possible to do, it can't be that there is a death penalty in place. And this is the Medinan situation where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was already in power. He was the ruler. And if he was prescribing the death penalty for people who apostatized from the religion, then nobody would dare to do this. Their plan would not succeed. But the mention of this plan in such a casual manner in the Quran shows that there is no death penalty. And in the fourth chapter of the Quran, that was second, third, now we're in the fourth chapter before we get to the fifth, which we were discussing. So in the fourth chapter of the Quran, inna alladhina amanu thumma kafaru thumma amanu thumma kafaru thumma azdadu kufran. Those who believe and then disbelieve, and that means they reject the faith after having believed. Then they believe again, they profess the faith again, and then they disbelieve again, and they even grow in their disbelief. So this now, this is compounded. and the fact that they could believe and then disbelieve and then believe again means that they weren't killed after they disbelieved, right?
Yes.
And this is the fourth chapter of the Quran. It's a Medinan chapter, one of the last to be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So one could not even, cite something like abrogation and say, okay, that was the earlier rule and now the later rule is to kill the apostates. No, it seems that from beginning to end, there was no rule within the lifetime of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to kill the apostates. And that only came later, and people back projected that sort of saying to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Dr. Shabir.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.